$132.02. And then the claims vouchers for the month are $117,543.68.
There's no disbursements, right?
I don't believe there are any disbursements here.
That's all right. Okay.
I mean, are you gonna present what you wanted paid? I sent it to all of them, but I didn't do a claim voucher because you thought maybe they were gonna do it at the state.
They very well may. Okay. I just want them to approve the amount.
I didn't bring it with me, but I emailed it to all of them.
Can we do that during your
Yeah,
presentation?
that's fine.
Okay.
I mean, it doesn't matter. I can do that.
Yeah, since it's not a voucher.
All right. Can I get a motion for the vouchers? Okay, Dion again. There's a second.
Second.
Josh. All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Okay. District Superintendent.
Project 5, we're still connecting some people. We have been getting some guys back moving along with getting the connections made. Still have enough to do. Trying to get on these contractors to get them done. Main big issue we're running into right now, we're having some air releases leaking bad. We repaired one last Wednesday. Had Fleming come out, it was still under warranty. Pumped out the manhole, pressure washed it, and replaced the air release. That was at like 8 o'clock in the morning. By 10:30, we found another one leaking on the same area. We were able to shut the valve off. And then Tuesday, found another one out at Sunnybrook that's leaking. So we have reached out to Ferguson and ARI, which is the manufacturer of the air releases. And we are in the process of having them come down and tell us what the heck's going on. That's 3 air releases in less than 5 days apart. And it's not good. I mean, manholes are filling up with crap. We're pumping them out and taking them. I mean, nothing's getting on the ground. But there's definitely an issue there that we haven't had any issues, to say the least, with those type of air releases, and why in the last 2 projects we're finding these things. But I want the manufacturer to come out, tell me what's going on with them.
I think that was a Sunnybrook and someplace else.
Slim's Lake South project. So we have that. We did get Fleming to core into our our gravity line out at Barrington Woods last week. They got all that done. They have finished up all of the sewer out at the new golf course addition. I was out there every day, just making sure everything was going smooth. I did require them to put tap heights on the as-built and everything. They did cut the road. Got a phone call from the highway department. There was no permit pulled from the highway department, so it wasn't really my problem, but I got drug into it, so we got it squared away. So that's going on there. We have run into another situation with some of our manholes with deterioration. So in the projects, we were having Midwest Tile put an additive into the concrete called ConShield. ConShield was supposed to be a prohibitor of delamination into the concrete. The one out in Preble is probably close to a ½ inch of concrete falling off the walls already. I did ask, I asked, but it's more of a requirement that the golf course in Fleming is going to do a do a spray coating on that manhole that we drilled into on 750 at Barrington Woods. I mean, that system's 3 years, a little over 3 years old, and it's already starting to flake off. So that was something I said, look, I know Allen County, when anybody ever ties into any of their manholes up there, they require a coating or something similar to that to, prevent this stuff. I called up Midwest to find out, like, I wanted them to come out and look at it. That's not our problem. Called up Conshield. They have been a little bit more responsive to it. They said they do have a salesman, not real close, but willing to reach out to me and come and look at the product. But like anything, it's, well, how was it mixed and how, trying to find an excuse for everything with it. So that becomes an issue. And so because of all these issues that we're finding with this additive, I did talk with Chris and Ben about it. I think if we are to get the next project, we're gonna go away from it. And I have spoke with one company that has actually reached out to me. We met them down at the wet show. And they're from Bryan, Ohio, and they do this coating. And I mean, they do a very good job from what it sounds like. Wells County, I guess they've, City of Bluffton, they said there's over 50 or 60 of them that they've done there. So I reached out to them. I'm gonna put a list together of the bad ones, give him a call. He's gonna come over. We're gonna look at them and get a price. The more you do, the cheaper it is. I mean, it's just one of those things. If we have him come over and do one, it's gonna cost just as much as doing 3 of them anymore. So, I wanna go around. Me and Noah's already been talking about which ones that we know of that are super bad. And, we're gonna start a list and then have him come over and kind of get an idea on cost wise, and then we'll bring it back to the board. I do think that it is something that we do need to address. Why, it's better to fix it now than fix it when it's beyond fixable. So, but get some prices on that stuff. So just other than that, we've just been trying to keep up with everything going on. I mean, it's trying to get these people hooked up. The alarms and stuff, I mean, we're still getting those. We did start implementing we added a layer onto the GIS. We are marking every air release and flush valve in our whole system on the GIS. And we mark them either air release or clean out. And we have gone through and pumped every one of the clean outs or every one of the air releases out and inspected so far. And that's also why we're finding these problems. I mean, we're out looking for them, which creates a heck of a lot more work, but that's our job. So, it's just now trying to figure out why we're having the issues and who's gonna help us resolve them. So, but I will say, we did get everything submitted through SRF, for all the equipment and, all the wish list, I guess we call it. We could use that back trailer bad. I mean, we're already 3 trips with a 200-gallon toting crossing 27, just to pump out one manhole. That's still got water coming in as we're trying to get down in there to shut it off becomes an issue. Thank goodness the 224 one is still under warranty because we required Fleming to come out with their back truck and pressure wash it out so we can get in these things. Right now, we're getting in them with IVAC suits and come out black. So other than that, Noah, anything? It's pretty much what I've got off the top of my head. We're just waiting to hear from SRF if they approve it again.
We got an approval of some of our
We got an
PR
approval,
amendment.
yeah, we got an approval, guys, but they have a different procurement thing now to where, since our quotes are somewhat dated, they wanted us to give them updated quotes, which we've done. And then they wanted a little narrative on why we need to buy what we were gonna buy, and then they wanted a rubber stamp one more time. But the one thing I guess I would say to the board, we made all these requests, but I don't know that if you guys have ever formally approved, any of the actual items. And, I guess to me, the equipment stuff's all pretty much a no-brainer. I think we need the parts and the pieces. I think we need the pumps. I think eventually, once the city gives us site formally at the shop, we'll need the mower. But there's three things on here that strike me as something that I feel like maybe ought to be approved by the board. One is the back trailer. Two is the service body. I guess those were really the two big ones. Because there's a trailer too, but that's associated with the mower and.
Yeah.
And again, there's the other stuff's just spare pumps and stuff that I think we need. So I know at the last meeting, we approved at least having Nathan go out and look for a truck.
I think we approved the truck up to a certain dollar.
Yeah, I think you did too, but,
So,
by the same token, I don't know that you guys ever approved us buying the service spot.
We didn't. I think it was get the truck first because it doesn't do us no good to have a service body if we don't have a truck.
Well, I agree with that, Shannon.
and there was, an option on one, so I
So-
think that was one of the items that
Well,
was,
the option on the trailer or the thing was the boiler, and he said he didn't really care if he had the boiler, so.
Yeah.
on the trailer, yeah.
Yeah, actually, the number for the back trailer went down
Yeah, because of the boiler.
because of the boiler.
Now, we went up to their open house last week, and they have one setting on the lot right now. And once that one's gone, then all that comes out of Canada. So the price.
So did we get the truck or what?
So the truck, I found a different truck that one was cheaper and worked out better for us, because after I got back with Tom Kelly, they sold the one truck, they had the same exact truck, but it would cost more, which makes no sense to me. We ended up finding one over in Warsaw, an F-350 cabin chassis, and it was still under our budget on what we were approved. And I talked with the service body, the guys that have the service body. About 40% of their trucks that they put beds on comes from that dealership. So more or less, we would pay for it. They would go pick it up and put the service body on that day, or start that process. I just don't want to commit to a truck with just a cabin chassis if we don't have nothing to put on it. So I haven't committed to it to say, yes, hey, we're gonna come and buy it. Because the second I go buy a cabin chassis truck with no bed on it, and then all of a sudden, I didn't know what we were doing with the approval and the board not having anything on record that, hey, yeah, we're gonna do this. I just hate to have a truck sitting there with, without a use for it, you
I
know?
was under the understanding that we wanted a truck so that we could give you approval for the bed.
Yeah, I'd call them up today and we could have it, you know? I just figured if we were to buy it, and I wanna make sure that everything still goes through with SRF too, you know? That's kind of my holdup.
In my opinion, on the SRF end, this next step we're doing is a formality, and then they're gonna rubber stamp the approval to buy or be reimbursed. But again, I just haven't seen you guys say yay to some of the stuff.
Well, SRF will want some procurement evidence, I would assume.
Well, again, I've got your letters, so thank you.
But we've gotta have the quotes also.
Well, we've got all that too.
Do we have them all?
Everything's
All
done.
that's done.
All right.
I
so
got
what-
every quote.
What's the quotes on the lift body?
It's what, 60 grand?
Sorry. Need my glasses, I can't see.
Is that the low one?
The service body was 51K approximately.
51, and that's the lowest quote on the service body?
That's what we
You
need.
just have,
Just have one.
Couple of, we'll have.
A couple of those specialty items, they were okay with just,
That's why we write the narrative mark to SRF so that they understand why we did what we did.
Special purchase method.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Or, you know, it's a preferred vendor in Adams County that we wouldn't do.
okay.
What's the back trailers?
The vac trailer quote that we submitted to SRF was 162 and change. 162,000, yes, correct. But I think that number is less than that now.
yeah, it
But I
was, it
don't
was
know
like,
what the, I don't know what the net.
it was like $8,000 or something less because of, I couldn't tell you off the top of
If
my
they
head. It was
approve what we
cheaper.
had said, and that's gonna come.
And I guess we approved the truck, so I mean, I guess we wanted to move forward on the truck, so we had that. And then as far as the service body and the trailer, as far as the Vector trailer, I really were just holding off on making a motion on that until we knew what SRF, so it sounds like SRF is holding out for a motion. I guess I would entertain doing like a conditional approval and saying, hey, subject to SRF's approval, we're in general support. I mean, I guess we don't want to approve it without their money and they don't want to approve the money without our support, so.
As far as I'm
Sort of
concerned,
circular.
Nate, a conditional approval works for me, cause at least you've said yay.
Yeah,
So,
yeah, I mean, like the truck, it wasn't just for the service body, we said.
Yeah,
we
it's
need it
for
so
other
that we
things.
can move that generator.
Yeah.
we can't safely move the
So-
generator without the truck.
In the worst case
Body or
scenario,
not, or
if
better not.
SRF
But
came back
again,
and
we
said you
beat up
can't
the
get
whole
the service
truck thing
body.
last month.
Yeah, we did.
But we
So,
didn't talk about really anything else.
yeah, we didn't talk about anything else. It's like, well, we had hoped, obviously, I'd hoped that the truck was
On the
ready.
service body, who's the vendor on the service body?
W.A. Jones.
Right.
W.A. Jones. And on the back trailer, who's the vendor on
Brown.
the Brown equipment? Okay. Is that also a limited source for supply, or did we have
I
multiple?
can't remember,
quotes
did we
on
have
that?
more than?
Price, Ditch Witch, yeah, they're.
Yeah, we had more than one.
We did 3 of them on
Yeah,
that.
we had more than one.
Okay.
What's the?
Eventually it came down. What's the current number on the?
I don't know
trailer?
what it is, Nate, or Nate, I'm sorry.
On what?
The one that we had originally gotten approved from SRF was 162,117.
For the back trailer?
Yeah.
Okay,
But
that's,
it's less than that now.
but that's the Brown equipment one?
Yes.
Okay, so SRF basically said, they said, okay,
They said okay, but again, they wanna say okay one more time.
Yep.
Cause you know, it's a government part, nothing. goes that
okay,
easy.
subject to, what else do we have to
Subject to
provide
what's
them with?
else?
We don't have to do anything else. We've given them everything they need now.
Okay, so we could, I think the board can have a motion to approve the purchase of the truck that he's got spec'd and quoted and the vac trailer from Brown Equipment, so the truck from W.A. Jones for 51,000, whatever it is.
That was
Or, I'm sorry, the service body and the vac trailer.
The vac trailer cost is $147,869.32. That was the new updated quote.
Okay, from well, that's
from
from Brown
Brown.
Equipment,
That's cheaper.
so we
It
need
was
a,
161.
About 15 grand.
so we need a motion by the board to approve those two purchases from those vendors in that amount, like we just stated, conditioned upon final approval of SRF for how it's going to be paid and or reimbursed.
I make a motion that we do that under advice of council. Make a motion to approve that.
I'll second. Pass the buck to him.
Okay,
No,
motion and a
I
second.
don't wanna try to regurgitate it.
All in favor, aye?
Aye.
Okay, see, at least that
And I
way,
know,
it is
I know before
approved,
we said-
subject to their, we don't have to do anything else then. The board doesn't have to do anything else. It's approved, subject to SRF saying that final stamp, and once they do that, buy
But I'm sure last time we said to go ahead and order the pumps too.
it. That's a different issue.
Cause you said we could get reimbursed for that, and we're like, we might as well get them on.
I'm pretty sure some of the equipment that's wrapped up in this, we've already purchased, and we wanna be reimbursed for it.
Right.
Yeah, so that's just a matter of getting that information to Brooke, and we'll fill out the
She didn't even have to do it. They offered to do it for all.
disbursement request for it.
Correct.
Okay,
Cause we're pulling money from 4 loan series.
okay, but this particular motion is just for those two pieces of
Those are the
equipment.
two critical.
Okay.
that I want.
Three,
Truck, back trailer and
that
a.
was
bed
truck,
body.
Yeah, the truck was
They already
last year
approved the
or
truck.
last month, and then
Truck.
the
body. and
service
back.
body and
Alright.
the back trailer, that's what's in this motion.
All right. And that's passed. You guys said yes. All right. So now on parts and pieces and pumps, if you've already, I think you've already approved that.
I mean, when we set it in, you guys basically gave you.
Yeah, I think we
Right.
carved out the vac trailer and the truck and service body from the, probably
From the
maybe
first
the
one.
April meeting or March, let's just talk
That's
about.
my personal opinion too, because again, these were some special things that we might not have purchased.
So do we need another, was that previously in the record, approval by the board to purchase?
The truck?
The
The
pumps?
truck was
Oh.
last time.
Pumps?
Pumps.
Yeah, the truck was last
I don't
time.
know.
We made a
I
motion
don't know about the pumps.
to
I
get that
don't
as
think
long as
so.
it was under
Well, if
sixty.
you guys just wanna make another motion
Yeah.
to approve the pumps and the parts.
Yep.
You
What
might as well
about-
do that now
What
too.
about the trailer,
Pumps, parts,
trailer and mower?
trailer and mower and a small generator.
How many pumps?
40 of the
Plus
small,
5.
plus 5 of the lift station.
Okay.
And then we also approved last time to have that one rebuilt.
Yeah.
So, and that's being done.
Okay, so it'd be 40 grinder pumps, 5 lift station pumps, and related parts.
Correct.
So I need
Lawnmower, trailer, and small generator.
yeah, mower, trailer.
Mower
A little
slash
Honda.
trailer, generator.
Are we buying the mower now or not?
We can.
Why not?
Good, okay,
We
mower,
got a barn over there. We can put it in.
mower and trailer,
It's getting full.
Of
and
what?
miscellaneous parts.
Of what?
Sooner or later, you gotta blow over there.
I know. Into summer, right?
Yeah, I don't know.
All right, so we have a motion to that effect.
You just got it.
Is there a second? All right,
Second by Josh, all in favor, aye?
And this is all
Okay, thank you.
conditional upon final approval.
no, the rest of the stuff was not
I
conditional
mean,
upon
where's
us.
that brown company
Because
from? The brown-
they've already
Fort Wayne.
approved it.
Or Fort Wayne.
They wanna reapprove it too, but
Well,
they're
they,
gonna approve it. The rubber stamp.
yeah, just put it in.
What was the price on the Ford F-350 then?
I was just looking at that. They had it listed at 60, but it was under that after we,
I had the screenshot, I found it was like 55. $55,140.
something like that. I called them too, cause wasn't it something crazy on that whole deal? It was still cheaper than the Dodge that we were looking at. Cause that website, it was wrong on there or something. I ended up calling the guy a couple times. But
You guys go through that, source well or something.
no, we didn't. We were just looking online. He actually found it online and then I called up 3 or 4 different businesses about cabin chassis. The big thing for us, this had the 7.3 in it. And those motors tend to hold up a little bit better too, so.
Power stroke still?
No, it's gasser.
Oh, yeah. Do you wanna, you can still check the source well too.
Yeah, I've got a source well account.
I've checked with them too. All right.
I'd be fine with the gasser because the gas is gonna be a lot cheaper to fix.
No emissions and
Yeah.
DEF and everything else.
I know it doesn't
Anything
have
on
the
the
power,
diesel.
but. Huh?
Anything.
What was a diesel option?
But a
like, you know,
diesel?
Like 10,000.
I got
I'm
one
not
little
a
drip
diesel.
that's driving me nuts. I don't like park on concrete and just outside of the quarter.
Yeah.
Too driven.
Oh, at least.
Just to fix a little tiny leak.
$2,300 approximately.
You got a estimate on a mower,
Yeah, Hildy's.
Abilities?
Yeah.
60-inch or?
That's a nice one.
Oh, yeah. I mean, I'd get an X-Mark and be done with it. It'll last 10 years.
More than that.
Well, you'd be wise to trade it in every 10 years, 5 years maybe.
Yeah.
I mean, seriously, because
Yeah.
it's still got value.
Yep. And it's Randy. I mean, he sells everything to every,
Right, but I mean, that's something we probably need to kind of get an idea from him, what he recommends that year breakover is, where if we trade this in and we're not gonna have a whole lot of hours and abuse on it, what's its value so that we can only pay a couple grand and have a new mower every
well,
X time?
I had said something to him about every year Decatur always trades in too. What if we were to just swap out and have a mower for a year or two and, I mean, do something because heck, he comes to Decatur every year and picks up 2 mowers or whatever.
You're not gonna be putting
we're not putting.
Near as many hours on a mower. as what
No,
you
and that's
can.
what I mean. I even thought about, you could buy a used one and, I mean,
If Decatur's trading them in every 2 years, I'd get their trade-in.
well, and that was what I was, I
Yeah,
almost
and then
told them,
keep
just
it
don't
for
even
5
load
years.
that thing up, go put it over there,
Yeah, I
they owe
mean,
me money.
Every 5 years, we could trade ours in to get Decatur's last year's model.
I had a 60-inch X-Mark for 20 years,
Yeah.
and I bought it used from Doug Bauman, and it was 4 years old,
Mm-hmm.
and it was still going. It was a great mower.
Yeah.
Do you wash it off every day like he probably did?
No,
Okay, so what was that
What?
price on the mower? You off the top of your head, I mean, 12?
12,
What I
13,
figured.
something like that.
13,475.
That's how those like people.
Yeah, he had to go buy a new one too. And he's starting to get a little low on those too, but I told him, I said, look, I can work with him on
Mhm.
something, I mean,
Well, that's not exactly a need,
yeah.
you know.
Yeah. I mean, I told him, I said, if you have it and you need to sell it, you'll have another one sometime whenever I need it.
Right, even if we get through this whole summer, and don't have it.
I don't need it till next year.
Right.
I told him, I said, I'll pay for it the day that you want me to pay for it. He goes, I'm gonna honor that price regardless with you,
Right.
so
What about a trailer?
there's one setting at Indiana Trailer Sales right now, and it's the only one they have that meets up, and actually that went cheaper too.
Yeah, again, some of this pricing is our original pricing, it's changed.
It's got, that one got cheaper, and it's a better trade,
It was $9 grand.
but they only got one in
How
there.
much?
9
9,
grand. We got one approved for 9 grand. It
and
was
it's a
long.
tilt deck,
Yeah.
Wow.
and I hate having them set down there and not go get it, because they said the prices are going up, because that's the one they have in stock.
Will that hold the skid loader too?
Yeah, it'll hold, yeah. It's big enough for that.
I was gonna say, when you're talking, you said a mower trailer, I'm thinking
No, we're not
2
getting a little,
grand, you know, and now all of a
No.
sudden it's a tilt and I'm going for a mower, you know?
yeah,
Yeah,
no,
if
this
they
is,
can hold a skid loader, that makes sense.
yeah, we got it a one-time trailer use for good. And we got a deck on the front of it, so we can set a grinder up front without the tilting with the skid loader on and
Good.
everything else. Buying stuff I want. I mean, if I were to go buy one, that's the one I want, because that's, I mean,
It's a pretty heavy duty trailer.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay.
I just hope as soon as all
Never
these
threw that.
approvals are done, it's still set for, because they turn around a lot of trailers.
So we could move on to engineer, I guess.
I don't really have much. I know last month I had suggested I get together with the new projects committee, and I apologize for not making that happen. But this month, I will definitely make that happen, and I do want to get together with everybody to go over the plan sets. I have a set of plans for all the projects that we had been authorized to pursue. And in fact, they're laying on my desk right now. I sort of need to look through it one more time. It's been hard to carve out that time. We won't hear anything still from SRF. They won't come out with a new PPO until after July 1 of 2025. So it's probably even gonna be mid-July, so we're not gonna hear anytime soon. So we're just waiting, I guess, to hear. But we can be ready to move forward, assuming, you know, we get some negotiations. We also, and this was born of something else that we're doing, but we did have a conversation about a week or so ago with the city of Decatur's attorney. And it pertained to some changes we want to make to the interlocal treatment agreement. And I still owe Mark and Ann some information, but I'm waiting on some maps. So as soon as I get all that rounded up, I'm gonna send that to the attorneys of both groups. And then we're gonna have to meet with Board of Works with the city like we've had to in the past. And hopefully get well, it's more of an amendment to our existing agreement, but I want to amend it to fix it because some of the stuff in it isn't quite right because we made some changes on Project 5, but then I want to include the Project 6 service areas so that we can just put a bow on it when we meet one time. So that was pretty pretty smooth conversation, quite honestly. Again, everybody's just sort of waiting on me to provide them some additional info. Outside of that, I don't have anything other than, we have been continued to be sort of, not bugged, but just asked what we're planning on doing with respect to rates for Baker Tilly. And at one time, I know we had talked about introducing and adopting, in subsequent meetings. But by the same token, I do have the latest rate report with me. It suggested a 3-tiered increase, one in 25, one in 26, one in 27. I almost want to say we're too deep into the year now to really pull that off. And maybe we're not, I don't know. But I just,
Do you have it? I don't know if I've got the old one here. Do you have the new one?
yeah, I got the. So maybe.
It's still the
I
same.
think then that's just the one we printed. I think I've got it.
I'm pretty sure
I've got it
that
back to the office.
those are the rates that they suggested we
Yeah,
adopt.
so you
I
do
like
one,
that idea better.
yeah. It was
Yeah,
3
that
tiers.
looks more like it.
Yeah.
It's just,
We did a
Yeah,
partial one,
okay.
because right now we're losing money. Just
But we're almost, we'll be, what, 7-8 months into the year by the time we can adopt it?
Just do another one.
Do we
Might as well jump.
start a rate now and then in January do it again and then wait another year?
well, yeah, I mean, that's entirely up to the board. Do you have anything else? Do we want to skip ahead to that right now? 'Cause that's,
I do not have anything else. I mean, that's pretty much where.
Other
Does
than
it
you
have
just
to be
had.
Oh, yeah, one last thing, thank you. For saying-
No.
Can it just be, if it's August of this year, it takes effect, August 26th, it takes effect, and August 27th.
Well, the rates of the city go up January.
Yeah, I
So-
think we need to do, if we do a partial one for part of this year, at least it stems the bleeding, because we're losing. I think we're showing a shortfall monthly with the current rates, because we're already behind Decatur's. So if we did one now, we get at least for the last 4 months, 5 months of the year, probably 4 months of the year at best. And then we start the January, so we stay with Decatur's rates.
So you're suggesting, bumping it up within 6 months then?
Yeah, so we'd have a small increase now, and then everybody knows the next 2 steps are gonna be happening in January.
Would it make any sense to say, okay, we're gonna go up now and then go up in 18 months, the next,
Just do one big step.
well, not, just instead of hitting them right at 6 months, okay, we're gonna hit you at 8. It's gonna be the first of the year. Except it isn't gonna be the first of the year in 2026. I mean, does that make any sense?
How much do we have to stop with bleeding?
Because the first step's only.
It's a couple bucks.
It's like $2 or $3. Because we go up to what, 96 from 93.30.
That's what I'm saying, no, I mean, if the bleeding
Mark,
stops
what are
then.
you showing
where if you
on
go,
that rate
you-
increase? Is it 9610?
at least you
Is
quit
that the
bleeding.
first layer level?
no, that's the old
Then
one.
we're gonna be bleeding.
I think that's the old one. The
Because
new,
that's
the new
14%.
report. Let me just press a copy of this page right
We could
here.
hit with a bigger treatment rate right anyway, so.
They're gonna go over that right now.
And then,
Ben, you want to go ahead and start your last item?
I mean, you just skip into all of it at January 1.
We're still on.
We could survive the bleed, but the amount of purchases we can make, and if we get a project, we're gonna be in real, by December coming around, we're gonna have less cash on hand.
Why don't you go ahead and cover Ben's last item and then we'll get
Yeah,
into this.
I do have one other thing, and this is all tied to, again, the extra money, the spend down plan. Again, as a part of the spend down plan, we had also authorized engineering for the new areas. That amount, the total that was approved was $398,000 and change. I've been submitting invoices since basically January, and we've been holding them until we got a formal approval. We have that now, so I would request the board approve the invoices that I've submitted to date, which I think is what, 150 or 180?
That was the email that we received today, correct, Ben?
And the
It
email
would've
that you
been.
sent, $150,608.19 plus the current one, $29,840 for a total of $180,000, $180,448.19 total.
Thank you, Jane. Much appreciated.
And you're just looking for approval to
Then
submit that for
Lady
reimbursement.
out to dinner tonight.
You never know.
Disbursements.
I haven't said yes.
That's for SRF.
That's we're just essentially asking SRS to disperse that money then.
Correct.
So,
You
So
said
we
you
need to-
you emailed today, Brooke?
2 days ago, maybe,
Oh, okay.
maybe 3.
This week.
yeah, it was, I don't know, all my SRF
Oh,
emails are
this one.
blurred together.
Locates. This is different. Thank you, sir.
Well, it's, just throw it all out.
Yeah.
We're within a few pennies. Right?
All right.
Okay, we need to take action on.
Under the column, estimated,
Save it.
for 2025, under see it, we did only get 50,000 from the county and not 60 that we thought.
I think, maybe something we just want to be attentive to is
Start there.
we're spending some pretty large
Yeah.
dollars
No
here. And
change.
we're also gonna talk about a rate increase. And so I think whatever notification goes out in the newspaper, we may just want to make sure that we try our best to understand the difference between subsidization from SRF from a project versus what the rate increase is gonna be. That'd be my only concern. I think we just gotta be sensitive to that.
Well, it's just I don't have a vote, obviously, but based upon, this report, we know with SRF, scoring wise, if we're not at $100, then it kind of impacts our scoring. It's projecting you need to have at least $100 by 2026, which is just around the corner. And then 27 is almost a $7 increase. And based on the fact that we're under water right now with these projections, if you want to do an increase here yet this year, and, you could vote on it now and we'd get it published and have a hearing on it, and then maybe it'd be adopted effective August 1st. And you could do that at, let's say, just make it an even $100. And then based upon what we find out from project funding, we could then have a better idea on what sort of a tiered increase you might need thereafter. So anyway, it's project says you're gonna need at least $99.93. This district has never had a rate increase since the very first project in 2016. And if you went to an even $100, that'd be a 7.2% increase in the last, it's been 9 years.
Mark, are you saying make it 100 right now or?
Yeah. Well, not today, but
Well,
100.
yeah, but
Yeah,
I
but
mean,
100 yet this year. By the time you start collecting it, maybe you have an effective date to start August 1st or September 1st. And sometime in October, or hopefully September, but it never works out that way. Sometime in late September, we should hear from them about funding, if we're in a fundable range or not, if we're gonna have a
July.
project.
Sooner.
We're gonna know in July.
We'll know more.
August, probably late.
Yeah.
Or, it's up to you, if you wanna tread water where we are right now until we hear from SRF, and then maybe based upon that, make one change instead of a tiered change. It's up to you.
Or conversely, guys, you could hang your hat on the Baker Tilly report and adopt, now the tier 2 rate increase and then the tier 3 rate increase as presented,
And we're gonna have to, based on their numbers, we're gonna have to be at 106.93 by 2027.
27,
And that's without a new project, that's just with the expenses that we have. And that includes, and that even includes $10,000 that we're actually not receiving. So there's a that correction that we'd have to have, which might adjust some of those in the pennies over the,
I was gonna say.
that's not gonna materially change this.
I think, you know, just based off the analysis that I ran, and these are off of Becky's financials. If we look at the current model for the 9330, we are underwater. Based upon the rate we're paying and the Wells County income we get, and then I did factor in Adams County for the $50,000.
Yeah, so you had that right on our meeting.
And then the initial rate study indicated that we should go to 9610 in 2025. And so if we do that along with the Wells County, the Adams County, we're right around $1 in the right direction, right around $4,000 a month in what I would call income. And then if we initially in the Baker Tilly study, it was 103.83 in 2026. And if we factor in everything, we'd be at about $1.15, right around another 4,000. But I also increased in 2026, the 14% increase in the Decatur sewage rates. And then kind of our budget, 4 to 5% increases based upon whatever expense item we were looking at. So it just really depends on how the board feels like we want to break down the payment.
Well, we gotta show $100 a month, right? I mean, to project for our,
But I think as trustees, we can't be showing a loss. I mean, we're showing on paper right now that we're losing money, and I think we're doing our jobs. We're gonna have to bite the bullet and do some sort of rate increase. And I don't feel good about kicking the can down the road and just letting it ride. Because then we're stealing money from funds that need to be accumulating for other resources. So I think we're probably I would recommend that we move forward on something. It's just, are we doing 3 small increases? Are we doing 2 increases or 1?
I mean, the easy thing I think to do would be, we could bring an ordinance back to you, next month and at $100, no tiered into the future. Obviously, you've got that information here, but bring it back at $100, maybe with effective date of September 1, and get that adopted. And then once you find out what your project is going to be, generally, then if you need to make another increase, then you could do that spring of 26 and adopt a tiered rate. And at that point,
And if we got another project, it's based off of, well, this isn't based off of that, is it now? No. Correction. We're gonna have to do, I mean, if we do a rate increase, like you said, with the ordinance, based on this, without a project, without the funding, we're doing $100. If we did that, we do $100 immediately, and then in 27, we'd go up to the 106, the 106.93. And that would be break even, no project. And I can't imagine that a new project, depending on the funding, wouldn't fit within that.
I could.
But
Usually they try to tie the project funding to our existing rate.
yeah, and we've got 6 different project areas, so there's a lot of little fingers to cut off of that if we had to try to meet a funding model.
I think you gotta do something. I mean, that's just my personal opinion.
Now, and this is just me thinking out loud here. So say we get an ordinance and hypothetically we do the $100. I know SRF is reviewing our submittal right now. If we say, look, we just approved our ordinance at $100, we give it to them. I mean, cause right now they're looking at our rates at 93.30 on this project's funding.
Yeah, that's in the score.
If we can say, hey, we just adopted this in our ordinance, it's gonna be $100. We send that to them. I mean,
The one thing that I would just suggest is that Baker Tilly would communicate that.
Yeah.
Just let them know that.
but I'm just saying, I think it would be a good thing because I'm worried. We're on 25's budget for this approval rate, more or less. Look at all the cutting that's happening throughout government's stuff. If we start losing it, I think I'm not crossing my fingers that this isn't the last hurrah for quite a few years, but we just invested $400,000 in engineering. I'd love to see that money to get these projects going. At least one more, and then then see what happens. We've got the investment now. I mean, yes, it's SRF money. It's not coming from the commissioners, but we also have it sitting there.
Well, when you do a project, you do a new rate study when you do a project for a new project area. And the money, that you're gonna get from the project will pay for it. You know, this rate study is all on us. It wasn't tied to a project. So,
Expenses of the district.
yep. And with a project, we're going to SRF and we're saying, hey, we want as much money as we can get so we can keep our rates low. But if at the time we're asking for that money, they say, well, you're underwater now. They're gonna say, we're not gonna give you more money so you can run at a loss.
Yep.
Yeah.
I don't want any more work, but I want to keep seeing this grow.
I think we need to get $100 as quick as we can.
Too small.
It's just the timing of that next bump, you know, and
Yeah,
I get it.
at
It's
95 cent,
simple.
will still be underwater.
you know, I as a customer, I say, you got me $100 now, why are you dinging me a little bit more here at the first of the year? I'd rather, why didn't you get it before? But I'm totally for, let's get it to 100 as soon as we can, and then whatever. And I wouldn't be, I'm not afraid to say, hey, it's 100 now, and guess what, folks, it's probably gonna be 107 in a year from then, or whatever. You know, that don't bother me. But it is. Everyone knows rates, you know, costs are going up, and $7 ain't much for what we've done.
Well, and when we send out new bills that would have a new rate, we can put notes on those bills, right, Jane? Okay, so let's just say hypothetically, if you guys say, let's get an ordinance in front of you next meeting in July. And I'll revamp it, put it together, send it out to the board ahead of time. And have an ordinance with just a one rate increase to $100, then you can, between now and then, you can think about all this. And then at the July meeting, when you go to introduce that ordinance, if the consensus at that point, maybe we've heard something, maybe we haven't. But if the consensus is we want to do a tiered rate, then you can decide that day. Because we're just introducing the ordinance. We introduce the ordinance at the meeting, and then we table it, then we publish it, and then we have a hearing, and we probably have the hearing at the next meeting, which would be August. And then at that hearing, public can attend, ask questions, object. And after that hearing, then the board can either adopt the ordinance, a new ordinance, or reject it, or change it and modify it at that point in time. So,
Is there a benefit in including the 2027 ordinance as you're introducing it? And have the $100 and the.
well, that's what you have to decide when you introduce the ordinance. You have to decide, is it gonna be a single rate or a tiered rate?
Okay, at that introduction.
At July.
So in July,
I'm just saying I can draft one that's just a single at this point
yeah.
and get it out to you and you think about it. Then in July, maybe we know more information, maybe we don't. You can at that point either adopt a single rate increase, $100 effective September 1st or October 1st, whatever you decide. Or you could say, well, no, we're gonna do 100 and then we're gonna have it adjust next July to something else. And adopt it, and then it'll go into effect. If you do just $100 increase, single
Yeah.
increase,
Go ahead.
and don't do a tiered increase this next time, we can put notation on the bill that tells the folks when they get their bill, hey, your rate is going up $100, and we can put those notes on the bills as they come out.
Yep.
As soon as you, let's say in July, we introduce an ordinance that takes the rate to $100, and that's it. After that meeting, we publish notice for the hearing, and we could put a note on the bill that says, hey, it's proposed to go to $100. There may be projects, additional projects coming, and based upon our rate study, you can expect there will be an additional rate increase perhaps in the next year. But we can put information on the bill. That way customers know that.
So I think we need to do the timing, because our July meeting, when we introduce, would be on July 10th. I would do the billing for July on July 28th, do August 21st. The adoption meeting would be August 7th. I do the bills for August on August 28th. And they would be due 9/22. So my question here is, when can we, if we introduce in July, adopt in August, I do August billing on the 28th because they bill behind. Would I say our rate increase starts September 1st?
Nah, it probably starts October 1st under that scenario.
Well, since September billing, when I do September billing on September 26th, it would be due October 21st. So that's why I say,
Okay.
would the rate increase
I
be
think it would
for
be
September 1?
Yeah, maybe I'll have to get all those data
Yeah, I
points
just
from
wanted to
you.
bring that
because-
timing makes a difference.
Well, I
I
think
think it would be though, Jane. I think you're right.
Yeah, because September bills payable, they would go out in September, payable
Just
October.
because of the way we bill it.
Yeah, and I think that we have to, I want to take that into consideration too, knowing that we're billing in arrears in terms of when an increase is approved by the board and et cetera.
But if you adopt it on August 1, can you just effective immediately?
Yeah.
They wouldn't see the rate increase until their September bill regardless.
And I think that makes sense. I mean, there's no way we can do a small increase in 2025 because by the time we did it, even if we do that, our increase is not going to be for like 2 or 3 months.
Yeah, exactly.
And
So-
so I think that makes sense.
And based on this, the rate that Baker Tilly is proposing is 99.93. We're talking about 7 cents. Psychologically, that's a big difference, but
I guess my question is,
we wouldn't be raising it again.
the
for
discussion we
another
have today
15
based
months.
on what we
16
informally
months,
approved,
going to
if that goes in the
27.
paper,
Yeah. So,
I think
by-
that's the best way to do it.
by the end of this week, customers are gonna know what the proposed increase is. So whether we put it on a billing statement or not, they're gonna know a month before the billing statement goes out that this is the recommended increase. So the phone calls are gonna start coming Monday,
Yeah.
right?
Yep.
And so,
Hey, hold off to write this article until about next Friday.
big old op-ed on Saturday.
It won't be the paper till 7.
Well, then just
Saturday.
keep all that out. We'll talk about it next month.
Direct phone
calls to Nathan
You're on the internet now, Nathan, so.
But I think,
Yeah, you're the one that told us we're on live here, so.
It's not live, it's just recorded. It's gotta go live next month.
July.
I think for me, is I know a lot of customers that are impacted by this. We have the estimated 2026, and I understand we're trying to do 2 things here. We're trying to make sure that we get out from underwater. We're also potentially looking at projected growth, so I can appreciate both of those. But I think we gotta be really careful here that we don't say that we're only going to $100 so we can fund future projects for SRF funding.
Right.
I think the conversation and the communication needs to be, this was based on existing customers and how we're expensing those customers, and any reference to future funding that we have to be at $100 to get future projects. I think that cannot be included. I think that's unfair to our current customers to say, because if we don't get the money and all of a sudden we said we were doing that because we want $100, then we need the $100 to stay where we need to be, but that's a very slippery slope. So I think we just gotta be really careful.
And we also have to remember our rates are going up in 26 with Decatur again. So it's not that we're underwater now. We've got to look at January 1 when our rates go up an additional 5%. With that too. So
Yeah.
I think the $100 makes sense, and the caveat is it also helps qualify for future.
Yeah.
I like that.
Grant.
Yeah, I think
You
we
know
just
what I
gotta be
mean?
really careful. how we say
We're gonna
this.
be at 99.93 starting January 1st anyway.
Yeah, it's
With the
not,
recommendation, so instead of just going up 95 for 2 months and then coming in and hitting you again.
Yep.
We'll just do
Yeah.
from here to 27
we're extending your discount to the end of this year, basically.
And it's a bonus for our board too, because it can help us qualifying as a caveat. I mean, it was coming no matter what, January 1st probably to be that anyway.
In hindsight, we should have raised the rates earlier this year and we didn't because we wanted to be as accurate as possible in this and based on the current customers and no new projects, we need to be within 7 cents of $100 next year. And that's essentially, that's what I'm gonna hang my hat on as far as the decision is that, hey, we're looking at these numbers right now and those projections, we need to be within a fraction of $100, then make it $100.
Well, but you also understand that these reports are meant as a guide to the board, and they are, by no means are they, these are the only rates you can adopt. You can adopt any rate that's within reason and can be, justified, with the guidance of this report. And so I think existing, we've said it, existing customers, existing expenses, $100 is a reasonable, necessary rate. And anyway, that's up to you guys. If you wanna
I would say get the ordinance ready.
get one in front of you, and I wanna make sure the press reports that the board is just directing us to submit to them, an amendment to our rate ordinance, proposing an increase to $100 per month, and that additional increases may be additional in future increases may be considered by the board at their next meeting in July. So it's not a final decision yet that it's 100 and it's gonna stay 100 for the next 3 years, because it's not. It's gonna be $100 is what's going to be introduced and discussed in July. And at that time, they would also discuss whether or not there'll be additional tiered increases in subsequent years due to, and not because it's necessary for additional projects, but due to existing projected revenues and expenses.
Operation.
Yep, operational costs. Yep. So.
Yeah, on that note, my, operating account, First Bank of Bern, every month I'm down 8,000 to 10,000 because increased bills and not seeing the revenue in that. So I'm definitely seeing it. We're not hurting, but we can't go too long.
Yep. No, I think we have an obligation as the trustees to do something.
So is there, I guess I don't necessarily need a motion, but is there a consensus with the board to get you a draft ordinance for a increase to 100, and then, and in July, then you'll decide what the actual proposed increase is, whether it's single increase, tiered, multi-year tiered, and then once you decide that, then we'll publish notice, have a hearing, and then final adoption would be whenever after that hearing. All right, that's what we'll do.
Hey, one thing I did forget to mention, I put down, so the Decatur, Adams County is reached out to us about an emergency magnet that would be something that if we would be interested in doing. I gave you guys a little thing. We get 60 of them, but they're passed out throughout the county. And it's for emergency contacts. So, something that I just brought to your guys' attention. They reached out to me yesterday to see if we would be interested in something like that. Totally up to you guys. I mean, I think it was like $95 or something for a half thing on a magnet that goes on the fridge. And not saying we have to do it with them, but it probably wouldn't be a bad thing to do something similar to that when it comes to our grinders, because we've been getting a lot of people calling not a lot, but enough people calling saying, my grinder's been going on and off for the last month. Why haven't you been out here to fix it? And they just think that it calls us every time that their personal grinder goes off, and it doesn't. So If they, and sometimes they'll call in and just leave a voicemail instead of calling the emergency line after hours. So, and we put it on the bill, but you know,
Is there a sticker on the grinders?
No, there's not.
no.
I know up in LaGrange County District, they have a sticker. They got
Wouldn't
a,
be a bad idea.
they got a call number right on the grinder lid.
Well, it's to call the office. It's the office phone number, then, but you have to listen to it. It says press 9 for an emergency. Well, nobody ever listens to it. They just
Yeah.
wait for the voicemail, and it could be a Friday evening and nobody calls.
Put
and then
that right on
Monday-
the sticker.
Yeah, put on a sticker.
Call
Here's
office
another
for
press
emergency,
9.
call this number and
After
wait
hours
for,
emergency,
and
this.
hit 9,
Option 9.
option 9, something. Cause
We can just put No's phone number on there.
yeah, but that works, cause I've had 2 neighbors with grinders that went out within 6 months of each other.
Yeah.
And we call that number and within, I ain't kidding, it wasn't 30 minutes, the guy was there, pulled a brand new grinder off the truck.
Well, LaGrange has got a big staff.
Yeah, they do.
Yeah, you're looking at it.
That fit a single cab truck, so.
Yeah,
But that grinder was probably 25 years old.
I wish ours would
20 years
last that
old.
long. That'd be great.
I just don't think people pay attention to a magnet if they can't read the damn sticker on the thing or can't read the bill.
And
Why
I
are they
know,
gonna go
yeah,
there to, you know?
But everybody goes to their fridge multiple times. a day.
Well, yeah, but got all your grandkids' pictures on top of it. and
They
everything.
could have a bill that tells them where to call it and hang it on that.
Yeah.
I don't know, I would look into getting stickers. And
I don't mind that, cause we did look at getting stickers back when I first started to write down like inspections on the inside and stuff, and it was pretty salty for something like that, which now we do it all on the GIS, but
You
we
can-
could probably look into
Buy
something
them stickers
emergency.
That are reflective.
I'll look at ours and see I'll see what it
Yeah.
is. I'll take a picture of it.
Yeah.
But that works because when they're outside, they hear it running, or they see the light or something. First thing you do is you walk over to it and you go, why is this thing running? Oh, well, there's a number I can call.
I don't think our people do that, 'cause they just call. This thing's beeping outside.
Oh, they don't even go outside? Look at it.
There's occasionally people like, will tell them, they're like, hey, can you like leave a card inside? So there's like a little plastic pocket for like the wiring diagram. So you'll slip a business card in there. It's got the office phone number, but that's not super. I mean, and then that requires them to actually open up the panel.
Yeah, we don't really want people opening up the panel and start hitting buttons, cause that just creates
And I
problems.
don't know that we actually have it specified real well on the bills. So we might wanna look at that and get that. verbiage.
I get more neighbors calling me than the actual homeowners.
If it actually put a picture of it, light
Yeah.
on,
And what's going on? Is this thing broke?
from their window, like.
Yeah,
Well, see what you can find out.
yeah. Maybe send me a picture of
I'll
that.
look at that, take a picture of it.
Maybe call them up and say, hey, where do you guys get these stickers at? I got a sewer district that needs some.
Yeah. Do that.
Just use a Sharpie, call. Okay,
I have this. I had Nathan pass this out. We had talked about if I would go part-time. I'm not asking for it to be discussed. That is what I, if you have questions, email me. Whatever.
the green is this year's budget for her. The light yellow is where we're at now. And then the brighter yellow is the projected. Down at the bottom is kind of her effective date of leave, last paycheck on that, and then her start date. Down at the bottom is just some different things that she's asked if we could fulfill those needs of hers when it comes to continuing with us. So take a look.
If the others on the board are okay with it, I'd like to set up a meeting with myself, Shannon Green and Jane and just kind of discuss some options and maybe have somebody from Mark's office there, just come up with some options on how we could accommodate that.
Well, we usually do the policy,
Yeah, or
just have the policy committee, you're on it, aren't you?
I don't know if I'm on that committee or not, but
I got all the committees in my office, but I don't know where.
I am having back surgery next Friday.
well, yeah, so.
Well, you
what
better
works
do it
around your
Thursday.
schedule?
So I guess what I'm saying, I hope to be driving by the 7th of July.
Okay,
That's what I hope. But,
We just need to have some time, somebody's gotta sit down with Jane and figure out what your intentions are long-term and then how we can appropriately accommodate that. So. If you want the policy committee to do that meeting, just have a group.
and you all should know that I understand that if a time comes that you need full-time and I need to go by the wayside, I totally understand that. But right now would be a good transition time.
And I think we've all been very happy with your work, Jane, and what you're doing and your willingness to be flexible with us. So.
Yeah, do this policy now that Dick's gone. You mean Dick? Bruce got it.
One question I would have.
Brooks got it.
The phones start ringing on Monday with this proposed.
I stopped thinking about 5
I
minutes.
mean, are you guys ready to take those calls? Is there any help you need from us? Or, I mean, I guess
Yeah, what's your cell phone number?
I'm not sure about that, but I'm just,
Yeah.
I'm just.
No,
you know,
I mean,
We never had one, so I just wanna make sure you
Yeah.
you feel comfortable having
it's not gonna,
conversations, I guess.
it's not gonna be any different than starting up a new project when the phone calls start coming. I mean, it's something we've gone through for years, on these projects. We're gonna get yelled at, we're gonna get screamed at, and then, I mean, that's just how it's
And
gonna
they call
be.
back.
Yeah.
In fact,
So-
I have a couple people that call every month where they pay their bill. Has the amount went up yet? They're expecting.
Yeah.
And they wanna pay for a whole year, so they wanna get their
Oh,
check
wow.
right.
We got some people that like, they live in Florida or they go to Arizona for the year and they like to get paid up whenever they leave.
Yeah.
And, or they're, hey, we're going on vacation for or for 2 or 3 months. We're going to see our grandkids or whatever. So they just come in and pay. You'd be amazed on how many people come in January 1 and pay for the whole year. I mean, just
Well, it's
pay the $1,200 and they're done for the year. You
not
know,
as if it's,
Oh, and
Not a
next
fluctuating
Friday we
rate.
should be receiving,
our
I think
tax
just
liens,
shy of $15,000 in liens. Okay.
our lien releases and stuff from tax season. So we'll be getting that check coming in.
I always like to do that.
That'll be another
I feel like
lesson.
here lately I've been signing a lot of lien releases and not as many liens, but there's still plenty of liens. Some people just don't pay all year and just pay their liens, which is crazy because of all the fees and
And I
everything
would
that
say that's quite a few, 80%. They don't have a problem with them. Okay.
they pay all the penalties and everything, and when their taxes come, done. It ends up being like
I'm not there.
$15 a month extra or more. It ends up being like $15 to $20 extra a month.
I don't like carrying the balance on my credit.
I don't know what else. is on the
No. I gotta go to the jail.
Can you guys, circle back to my approval by project 6 invoice?
He wants his money.
He wants that motion. Ben's paying attention.
What was that again?
Yeah.
180 and change I need.
$448.19.
Yeah, so I guess you just need a motion to authorize the disbursement request to SRF for the engineering cert fees, since that's been approved. I'll make that motion.
Thank you, Dave.
I'll second that motion.
Seconds.
Yeah.
oh, yeah, but you know, all in favor, aye?
Thanks,
And who was the second? I'm sorry.
guys. Yeah, Jim.
Jim.
See, you're comfortable today. Back to normal.
Yeah.
Got the sweats on.
If I dressed
Oh,
to
that's
the
good.
nines every meeting, if you would believe how big that crowd, it's only seats 36.
He's not a showboater. Not at all.
Not me. Stuck there on trying to use on policy.
Well,
Yeah, I
It's in my office.
can't pull
I
anything
think
up.
it is, John.
I was thinking it was John Carroll, but
Yeah.
he was on the hire committee because that's the same. John was.
have a hiring.
That's the policy.
Yeah.
He replaced Dick.
Yeah.
Cause he interviewed Noah.
Yeah.
We hired him.
Yep, that's who it
That's
is.
right. Close enough.
Okay.
So just so that somebody's taking care of that in the interim. I don't want to be scrambling in November.
I'm gonna be scrambling in November.
I'll be scrambled eggs in November.
You should practice your goat rodeo.
What?
My what?
His goat rodeo.
That's Monday.
There you go.
Is everybody re-upping? I'm looking at this little pass out here.
I made a note here that, I don't think I can get out of it, so that's just the way it'll be. Like, Jen, you would mention that you were not planning on.
Yeah.
Is that correct? So-
Correct.
So I guess we'll need to let, get the word out to the commissioners so they can start looking for.
Yeah, looking at this, I said, well, gee, there could be 4 or 1. You know, Dion, you good for another
So what are the terms?
3?
I thought,
You sat in, you came in.
oh, I see. So I was a split term.
Yeah,
Okay.
so that's why your term start date on that is.
Cause I saw that and I was like, that's interesting. Yeah, I thought.
Wherever you started, so. Yeah, 3-year
Josh,
terms.
Shannon, and John, you guys are good for a while. Jim, Nate.
Yours comes stuck.
John Carroll.
And
Oh, they're talking about.
I don't know, is John Carroll
You're on. at least-
gonna stay too? Cause those are all commissioners appointed. Josh is City of
Yeah,
Decatur,
2-year term.
Shannon
So
is Byrne.
city and council is 2 years and then
Hey, Jim, who fills your seat? Who fills your seat? Commissioner?
Commissioners.
Oh, okay.
And I think John took on as the council appointment when Steve won, was it when Steve left?
Yeah, I think you're right.
Steve was council and then he went to commissioners.
Yeah. I think when Steve became a commissioner, it switched over. Yeah, you.
We might-
Dion, you took Dick's position.
Then you renewed right away. Yeah, so yours.
We might put together a chart maybe for the next meeting, Brooke, because they ought to all be, we ought to stagger it, I think, as much as we can.
That's a lot at one time.
Keep continuity on the board, and we've only got two tiers here right now, just the way they're written. So we'll look at that and we can put together a plan where maybe we've got 2, 2, and 3.
Do we have to, is that an ordinance that we have to do? Cause that's like an organizational.
Well, but
document.
the way you handle it is when appointments come up, so you've got 4 of them coming up into this year. So you got 4 of them coming up and we would take 2 of those 4 and maybe do a 2-year appointment instead of a 3, and then going forward and you guys can decide who that is. You know, we do
Like Frank stays on for 2 more years.
we do a 2 for,
Snowbird over here is ready to
yeah,
go.
that might work. So we do a 2 for
Maybe 1, we already got that one.
2 and a
signed.
3-year for the other 2.
That might be doable, right?
What's that?
Jim's, for whatever reason, his appointment form is wrong. It says that he's on until the end of 26,
There you go.
which isn't correct. It's a
But it
mistake.
could be.
All right.
But it could be correct.
I mean, yeah.
What else do you have to do? I mean, we put it at 1, we know noon you wake up.
This should be where we talk about the per diem or per meeting pay.
I mean, you already signed that appointment form, Jim.
We'll put together a table that gives you some options and let's try to get these staggered, so.
But it is an interesting question. It's theoretically a 3-year term, right?
It would by
Who sets
statute,
that or why?
Indiana code
Okay,
says 3 years. It's just that at the beginning, but sometime between the beginning and where we are now, some of it got messed up in the appointment
yeah,
forms.
I get that,
But yeah, it's,
so by definition, they're 3-year
3
terms.
years, yep.
Okay.
3 years of commitment.
and initially you stagger them.
Yeah.
But it looks like we've got to just make an adjustment to that.
Heck, I'm doing 3 years now. Did I get it back? Get out?
Say what?
No, doesn't matter.
now? Does
Be
that
on
mean
forever if
anything?
you wanted to- Okay.
Yeah, it means you won't be seeing a raise for a long time. We're on the same schedule as the rest of us. That's what that means.
Might be here for you.
Really, Nate.
Yeah.
You've been on a couple times.
I came on as soon as we got the treatment agreement with Decatur done, so.
And you've been on since the beginning, have you?
Yeah, so I took Schultz.
You and me.
He stepped in.
It was Adam first.
Well, Adam Miller.
Adam Miller was
Yeah.
like the first 3 months and
Yeah.
he was like, I need out, and I go, but hurry on.
Yeah, I remember we were meeting down in the basement
Yeah.
here.
Yeah, is there anybody else from the first?
You're the last one
Like,
standing.
you're the last.
Hey, Shannon.
Last, the first generation.
Yeah, haven't been able to get rid of you.
Got out of that last.
Shannon's a lifer.
Yeah,
I'll retire someday.
Hall of Fame.
He's had 3 mayors appointed.
Mayor Byrne appoints you, Shannon, is that right? Okay,
Yeah.
that's how you do it, okay.
Mm-hmm.
I don't have anything else.
Okay. Are there any other matters presented? Okay. Public comments. Okay. Motion for adjournment.
So moved.
Nate, second by